My parents said that transferring my house into their name would be a good idea. I believed them, and I regretted it when I found out the plan was to give it to my spoiled sister. Before continuing the story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you won't miss more stories, and leave your like on the video. I should have trusted my gut that night at dinner. I was 29, owned my house outright, and thought I had my life figured out. My parents had invited me over, insisting we needed to discuss important family matters. When I arrived, my younger sister was there with her fiancé, which should have been my first red flag. My father cleared his throat as Mom served the roast. "We've been thinking about your future," he began, his tone careful. "Estate planning, protection of assets. It's something responsible adults do." My sister's fiancé leaned forward, his expression serious. "It's really the smart move," he said with the confidence of someone who'd read a few articles online. "People with real wealth protect themselves this way." I watched my sister gaze at him like he'd just quoted Shakespeare. She nodded eagerly, her hand finding his on the table. They'd been together for 8 months, and she'd never looked at anyone the way she looked at him. "What exactly are you suggesting?" I asked, though something in my chest had already tightened. "Transfer the house into our names," my mother said gently. "Just temporarily, for legal protection. You know how lawsuits are these days. One accident, and someone could take everything from you." "That's not really how it works," I started. But my sister's fiancé interrupted. "Actually, it is. I've been reading up on asset protection. This is what intelligent people do." He smiled at my sister, who beamed back at him. "Right, honey?" "Absolutely," she breathed, as if he'd just solved world hunger. My father shifted in his seat. "We'd never do anything to hurt you. You know that. This is about keeping the house safe. When we're gone, it'll be divided fairly anyway." The word fairly hung in the air. I looked around the table, at my parents' concerned faces, at my sister's adoring expression as she watched her fiancé, at the man himself sitting there with his easy confidence. "I don't know," I said slowly. "Don't you trust us?" Mom asked. And there it was. The question that made saying no feel like an accusation. My sister's fiancé patted her hand. "It's okay. Some people need more time to make smart decisions." His tone was understanding, but something in his eyes wasn't. "Your sister here. She always knows the right thing to do. That's one of the things I love about her." My sister practically glowed. "He's so thoughtful," she said to me, "always thinking about what's best for everyone." The rest of dinner passed in a blur of careful suggestions disguised as casual conversation. My sister's fiancé mentioned friends who'd protected their assets this way. My father talked about a coworker who'd lost everything in a frivolous lawsuit. My mother worried aloud about what would happen to the house if something happened to me. "You're our daughter," Dad said as I was leaving. "We just want you protected." My sister hugged me at the door. "Think about it," she whispered. "He really knows what he's talking about." 3 weeks later, I signed the papers. My sister had called me twice, gushing about how mature her fiancé was, how he was always thinking ahead. My parents had seemed genuinely worried about my exposure to risk, and I convinced myself that the uncomfortable feeling in my stomach was just silly paranoia. The lawyer had been my parents' choice, a family friend who walked me through everything quickly, assuring me this was standard procedure. I signed my name on page after page, watching my house slip into my parents' names. The house I'd saved for. The house I'd bought myself. 5 years of saving, of working overtime, of choosing security over spontaneity. "You're doing the right thing," the lawyer said, and I wanted to believe him. My sister's fiancé had sent me a text that evening. "Smart choice. This is what family does." I stared at it for a long time, that uncomfortable feeling settling deeper into my bones, but I pushed it away. These were my parents, my sister, people who loved me, the fiancé who seemed so devoted to making my sister happy, so concerned with doing things the right way. The wedding invitation arrived 2 weeks later. It was elegant, expensive looking. My sister called to ask if I'd received it, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Only 3 months away," she said. "Can you believe it? I'm going to be married." "I'm happy for you," I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, despite the nagging doubt, I wanted my sister to be happy. "He says we're going to have the most beautiful life together," she said dreamily. "He has it all planned out." I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself everything would be fine. The house was still mine, really. Just a piece of paper, a technicality. My parents would never actually do anything with it. I had no idea how wrong I was. The wedding was beautiful. I'll give them that. My sister looked radiant in her dress, and her new husband played the part of the devoted groom perfectly. I stood in the receiving line, hugged relatives I hadn't seen in years, and tried to ignore the knot in my stomach. The reception was held at an upscale venue downtown. I sat at a table with some cousins, nursing a glass of wine and watching my sister dance with her husband. She looked so happy, so completely, blindly happy. I was halfway through my meal when my father stood up. Tapping his glass for attention, the room quieted. "I want to thank everyone for being here today," he began. "This is a special day for our family, not just because we're celebrating this beautiful marriage, but because we have another announcement to make." My mother was smiling beside him. My sister's husband had his arm around her waist, and she was looking up at him with that same adoring expression. "We've decided to give the newlyweds a very special wedding gift," my father continued. I felt my stomach drop. A home. A place to start their life together. The room erupted in applause. I sat frozen. "We're gifting them a house," my mother added, "so they can build their future together." My sister burst into tears, burying her face in her husband's chest. He held her, stroking her hair, and when he looked up, his eyes found mine across the room. There was something triumphant in that gaze. "You deserve this, baby," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "You've always been the most dedicated to this family." I stood up, my chair scraping loudly. I made my way toward my parents, my heart pounding. "Can we talk?" I asked quietly. "Outside?" My father's smile faltered. "Not now. This is your sister's day. It's about the house. My house." My mother touched my arm. "We'll discuss this later. Don't make a scene. You just gave away my house without telling me." A few people were looking now. My sister had stopped crying and was watching us, her husband whispering something in her ear. "We thought you'd be happy for her," my mother said, her tone hurt. "We thought you'd want your sister to have a good start in life." "That's my house," I said. "I saved for years to buy that house." My sister approached us, her husband's hand in hers. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was something else in them now. Something defensive. "Why can't you just be happy for me?" she asked. "For once in your life. Why can't you just be happy that something good is happening to me?" Her husband stepped forward, positioning himself between us. "I think you need to calm down. You're ruining your sister's wedding day. I want my house back." "Don't be selfish," my sister said, her voice shaking. "I've never had anything like this. You've always had everything figured out. Can't I have just this one thing?" Her husband's voice was firm. "Your parents made their decision. They own the house. It's theirs to give away." The truth of that hit me like a physical blow. Legally, he was right. I'd signed it over. "I can't believe you're doing this," I said, looking at my parents. "You planned this." "We didn't plan anything," my father said, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. My sister was crying again, angry tears now. "You've always been jealous of me, ever since he came into my life. You can't stand that someone finally chose me." "That's not true. Then why are you trying to ruin this?" Her voice broke. "Why can't you just let me be happy?" People were staring now. The music had stopped. My sister's husband pulled her closer. "I think you should leave," he said quietly. "Before you say something you'll regret." I looked around at all the faces watching me. My parents wouldn't meet my gaze. My sister was crying in her husband's arms. And I was the villain in their story. I left. I walked out of that reception hall and drove to my old apartment, the small one-bedroom I'd been renting since I was 23. I'd kept it, never fully letting go, never fully trusting the arrangement even when I'd convinced myself I did. I sat in my car in the parking lot for almost an hour, staring at nothing, trying to process what had just happened. That night, I packed. Not much, just what I needed. My phone buzzed with messages. One from my mother. "We'll talk when you've calmed down." One from my sister. "I can't believe you tried to ruin my wedding." Nothing from my father. I'd been so stupid, so incredibly, devastatingly stupid. I'd signed away my house, my security, my future. And for what? Because I'd trusted them. Because saying no would have made me look paranoid and ungrateful. My sister's husband had played this perfectly. Every word at that dinner, every suggestion, every reassurance, it had all been leading to this moment. And I'd walked right into it. I looked around my small apartment. This was home now. This was all I had left. And somewhere across town, in my house, the house I'd worked 5 years to buy, my sister and her husband were probably celebrating their victory. I'd trusted my family, and they'd betrayed me without a second thought. The first month in my apartment felt like living in a fog. I went to work, came home, ate whatever was easiest, and tried not to think about the house that was no longer mine. My coworker noticed. You okay? She asked one day during lunch. Her name was Trina, and we'd worked together for 3 years but had never been particularly close. You seem off. Family stuff, I said, stirring my coffee without drinking it. She waited, not pushing, just present. And maybe it was because I hadn't talked to anyone about it. Or maybe it was because I was so tired of carrying it alone. But I told her. Everything. Jesus, she said when I finished. I don't even know what to say. There's nothing to say. I was an idiot. You trusted your family. That's not being an idiot. But it felt like it. Every day, it felt like it. My sister had blocked my number. I knew because I'd tried calling twice in the first week, thinking maybe we could talk. Maybe I could make her understand. Both times, it went straight to voicemail. The second time, I didn't leave a message. My parents called once. My mother, mostly with my father occasionally adding comments in the background. They wanted me to understand their position. They wanted me to be reasonable. We thought you'd be happy for your sister, my mother said. We didn't think you'd react like this. You gave away my house. We gave away our house, my father corrected. Legally, it was ours to give. I hung up. They didn't call again. Work became my refuge. I took on extra projects, stayed late, volunteered for things I normally would have avoided. Trina started inviting me to lunch regularly and I went, grateful for the distraction. My cousin went through something similar, she said one day. Not exactly the same, but family betrayal. It takes time to process. How much time? More than a month, she said gently. 3 months in, my mother sent a text. Your sister's husband is helping her make some big changes. We're so proud of how he's taking charge. There was a photo attached. My sister and her husband standing in front of my house, her arm around his waist, both of them smiling. I deleted it without responding. 4 months in, I ran into my mother's friend at the grocery store. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. I heard about the house situation, she said carefully. That must have been difficult. It was. Your sister seems happy, though. I saw her last week. Well, I saw her husband. He was shopping. He mentioned she's been staying home more, focusing on the house. He's very involved, makes all the decisions for them, from what I understand. Something in the way she said it made me pause. What do you mean? Oh, nothing. Just that he seems very particular about what she does, who she sees. She hesitated. I haven't actually seen your sister in a while. Just him. I thought about that conversation for days. 5 months in, I heard through another family friend that my sister had lost touch with her college roommate and her best friend from high school. She just stopped responding to messages, the friend told my mother, who mentioned it in passing during one of her increasingly rare texts. Her husband thinks it's better for them to focus on each other right now. 6 months after the wedding, Trina found me crying in the bathroom at work. Talk to me, she said. I think my sister's in trouble, I said. I think her husband is, I don't know, controlling her, isolating her. Do you have proof? Just pieces, things people have said, the way she looked at him at the wedding, the way she defended him, the way everyone stopped seeing her. That's not nothing, Trina said. But it's not enough, and she blocked my number. She doesn't want to hear from me. Sometimes people in bad situations can't see it, Trina said quietly. My cousin couldn't, not until it got really bad. I splashed water on my face, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I looked tired, older than 29, worn down by betrayal and worry and helplessness. I don't know what to do, I said. Right now, nothing. You can't help someone who doesn't want help. She touched my shoulder. But you can be ready for when they do. I went back to my apartment that night and sat in the silence, thinking about my sister. About the way she'd looked at her husband at the wedding, like he hung the moon. About the way she'd defended him, even when he'd orchestrated the theft of my house. About the way she'd said, you can't stand that someone finally chose me. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was jealous. But not of the fact that someone had chosen her. I was jealous that she still had our parents' approval, that she got to live in my house, that she could be so completely, utterly blind to what was happening to her. Or maybe I wasn't jealous at all. Maybe I was just scared. Scared that my little sister, who used to share her Halloween candy with me and cried when I went to college, was disappearing into someone else's control. And there was nothing I could do about it. 7 months after the wedding, my phone rang at 2 a.m. I ignored it the first time. The second time, I checked the caller ID. My mother. I answered, my heart racing. What's wrong? It's about your sister. We need your help. What happened? Is she okay? She's fine, physically. But there's a problem with the house. They haven't paid the mortgage in 4 months. I sat up in bed, fully awake. 4 months? We just found out. The bank sent a notice. They're going to foreclose if we don't catch up on the payments. We? I repeated. You mean they, my sister and her husband. Your father and I are on the deed too. This affects all of us. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Now it affects you. Please, my mother said, tired. Can we meet? Tomorrow? We need to figure this out. What about my sister? What does she say? She's having a difficult time. Her husband lost his job a few months ago. Things have been stressful. Put her on the phone. She's not here. We're calling from home. Then call her. Let me talk to her. We tried. She said she'd call you herself. An hour later, my phone rang again. My sister's number. Hello? I said. But it wasn't my sister's voice I heard first. Tell her it's her fault, a male voice said in the background. Her husband. Tell her if she'd been supportive from the beginning, we wouldn't be in this mess. Stop, my sister said weakly. Just stop. Hello? I said again, louder. Hi. My sister's voice was small, defeated. Mom said she called you. She did. What's going on? We're a little behind on payments. It's not a big deal. We just need time. 4 months isn't a little behind. He's been under a lot of stress. His job, it wasn't his fault. The company downsized, and we've had expenses, but we're handling it. Are you? Because the bank doesn't think so. You don't understand. You've never understood. He takes care of me. This is just a rough patch. Let me talk to him. No. This is between us. You don't get to judge him. I'm not trying to judge anyone. I want to understand what's happening. What's happening is that you're being called to help your family, and you're being difficult, like always. The words sounded rehearsed. He says you're selfish, that you've always been selfish. Is he there right now? Is he listening? She didn't answer directly. We need help. Are you going to help us or not? I need to think about it. Of course you do. You never just do what's right. You always have to make everything about you. She hung up. I met my parents the next day at a coffee shop. They looked older. My mother's hair had more gray. My father had new lines around his eyes. Thank you for coming, my mother said. What's the full situation? My father pulled out papers. Bank statements. Notices. They owe $12,000 in back payments. If we don't pay within 30 days, the bank forecloses. And then what happens to you? It affects our credit, my mother said quietly. We might have to refinance our own house. So you need me to pay $12,000? We're not asking you to pay it all. We can contribute some, but we don't have that kind of cash. I sat back. This is my house we're talking about. The house you took from me and gave to them. We know. We made a mistake. But right now, we need to solve the problem. The problem you created. My father's jaw tightened. This isn't helping. No, you're right, it's not. I looked at both of them. Here's what I'll do. I'll pay the back mortgage, all of it. But the house gets transferred back into my name. Legally. Permanently. My mother glanced at my father. We'll have to talk to your sister. Her husband won't agree to that, my father said. Then they'll figure out the $12,000 themselves. You're being unreasonable, my mother said. Am I? I'm offering to save your house, your credit. All I'm asking is to get back what was mine. It's not that simple. Yes, I said, standing. It is. That night, my phone rang again. My sister. Mom told me what you said. You're really going to hold our home hostage? It's not your home, it's mine. We live here, we've made it ours. Now you want to take it away because you're vindictive. I want it back because it was never supposed to be yours. He's right about you. He's always been right. You're jealous. You can't stand that I'm happy. Are you happy? I asked. Really? She hung up. But 3 days later, my parents called. They'd talked to my sister and her husband. They'd agreed to my terms. We had a meeting scheduled with a lawyer for the following week. Trina was thrilled when I told her, "You're getting your house back." Maybe, I said. If they actually show up, if they actually sign, they will. They don't have a choice. I wanted to believe her, but something in my gut told me this wasn't over. The lawyer's office was downtown, in one of those buildings with too much marble and not enough windows. I arrived early, Trina by my side for moral support. My parents were already there. My sister and her husband arrived 10 minutes late. My sister looked thin. Too thin. Her clothes hung loose and there were dark circles under her eyes. But she held her husband's hand tightly. And when she looked at me, there was only defiance. "Let's get this over with," her husband said. The lawyer was a woman in her 50s, efficient and no nonsense. She laid out the documents. "This is straightforward," she said. "The property transfers back into your name. In exchange, you pay the outstanding mortgage debt." "Seems one-sided," my sister's husband said. "She gets a house. We get nothing. You get to avoid foreclosure," the lawyer said dryly. "And you keep your credit intact. There has to be another way. Something more family-oriented. A payment plan, co-ownership, options that don't involve taking away our home." "It's not your home," I said. He smiled without warmth. "We've lived there 7 months. We've made improvements, put our own money into it." "What money? You haven't paid the mortgage in 4 months. Temporary setbacks. If you'd just give us a chance." "No, that's not what we agreed to. We agreed under duress. You're taking advantage. Some might call it extortion." The lawyer sighed. "This isn't extortion. Your in-laws legally own the property. No one is forcing anyone." "She is," he said, pointing at me. "She's forcing my wife to give up her home, the home her parents gave her, the home she deserves." My sister was crying now, silent tears. Her husband put his arm around her. "Look what you're doing to her," he said. "You're so focused on being right that you can't see you're destroying your own sister." "I'm not destroying anyone. I'm taking back what's mine. What's yours? Always about you. Your house, your property. What about her rights? What about what she deserves?" "She deserves better than you," I said. The room went silent. My sister stood up. "How dare you?" "Sit down," her husband said, pulling her back. His hand on her arm looked gentle, but his fingers were white with pressure. "Let me handle this." "I don't want you to handle it," my sister said, crying harder. "She always does this. She always makes me feel stupid, like I don't know what's good for me." "You don't," I said quietly. "Look at yourself. You've lost weight. You've lost friends. You're about to lose this house because he can't keep a job." "That's enough," my father said. "He loves me," my sister said. "He's the only one who's ever really loved me, and you can't stand it. If he loves you so much, why is he letting you go through this? Why isn't he offering solutions?" "Because I'm the problem," he said, voice suddenly quiet. "Reasonable, right? I'm the manipulator, the con artist. I stole your house. I'm controlling your sister." He looked at my parents. "Is that what you all think?" No one answered. "We're trying to start our lives together. We made mistakes, but instead of supporting us, you're doing this." He gestured at the papers. "Sign the papers," I said. "Or don't. But decide." My sister looked at her husband. He nodded. "Fine," he said. "We'll sign. But know this, you're choosing property over people. You're choosing to hurt your sister when she's already down." He signed. My sister signed, her hand shaking. My parents signed. I signed. The lawyer collected the papers. "I'll file these tomorrow. Transfer should be complete within 2 weeks." Outside, my sister stopped me in the parking lot. "I hope you're happy. You got what you wanted." "I never wanted this." "Yes, you did. You wanted me to fail. You wanted him to fail. So you could be right." She wiped her eyes. "Congratulations. You were right. Are you happy now?" "Are you?" I asked. "Really? Are you happy with him?" She looked back at where her husband was talking to my parents. "He's my husband. I chose him. And I don't regret it." But her voice cracked on the last word. She walked away before I could respond. Trina drove me home. "You did the right thing. Then why do I feel so terrible?" "Because it's your sister. And because you can see what she can't." That night, I called the bank and arranged to pay the back mortgage. $12,000. Gone. But the house would be mine again. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. 2 days later, my mother called. "Her husband is very upset. He says you've humiliated them. He thinks you did this on purpose. To hurt them." "Mom, he orchestrated the whole thing from the beginning." "Maybe. But your sister loves him. And now she's defending him even more. What do you want me to do?" A long pause. "I don't know anymore. I really don't know. Neither did I." The 2 weeks felt like 2 months. Every day, I waited for the lawyer to call and tell me the transfer was complete. Every day, I worried that something would go wrong, that my sister's husband would find some loophole, some way to contest it. But the call came. The house was mine again. "When do they have to move out?" I asked the lawyer. "Legally, you need to give them 30 days' notice. Since they're not paying rent and have no lease, you can proceed with eviction if they don't leave voluntarily. 30 days, I repeated. I'd recommend sending a formal notice in writing. Certified mail. Keep everything documented. I sent the letter that afternoon. Trina helped me write it, keeping it professional and unemotional. You are hereby notified that you have 30 days to vacate the property located at... I read it 3 times before sealing the envelope. You're shaking, Trina said. I know. 2 days later, my sister's husband called. I almost didn't answer. We need more time, he said without preamble. 30 days isn't enough to find a place and move. 30 days is what the law requires. The law. Right. Because this is about legality, not family. You had 7 months, I said. You didn't pay the mortgage for 4 of them. You knew this was coming. We have nowhere to go. That's not my problem. It's your sister, he said, and his voice dropped. You're flesh and blood, and you're putting her on the street. I'm not putting anyone on the street. I'm giving you 30 days to find somewhere else to live. She's devastated, he said. She cries every night. She barely eats. You're killing her. You know that? If she's that upset, maybe you should focus on finding housing instead of calling me. You're a real piece of work, he said. You know that? He hung up. I tried calling my sister directly. Blocked. I tried texting. The messages turned green. She'd blocked me on everything. 3 weeks went by. I heard nothing. Then, 5 days before the deadline, I decided to drive by the house. My house. There was a car in the driveway, not my sister's, but her husband's. The lawn needed mowing. One of the shutters was hanging crooked. But otherwise, it looked the same. The house I'd bought. The house I'd lost. The house I'd fought to get back. I didn't stop. I just drove past, slowly, taking it in. That night, my father called. They're not going to be out by the deadline, he said. Then I'll file for eviction. Do you have to do this? Can't you give them more time? Dad, I gave them 30 days. Before that, I gave them 7 months. How much more time do they need? He says he's looking for work. He has some interviews lined up. If he gets a job, they can afford to rent somewhere. That's great. He can do that from his new place. Your mother thinks maybe we could all sit down and talk about this. Find a compromise. There is no compromise. It's my house. They need to leave. She's your sister. I know who she is, I said, and my voice cracked. I know exactly who she is. And I know who he is too. And I'm done enabling this. My father was quiet for a long moment. When did you become so hard? When my family stole my house and gave it to someone who didn't deserve it. I hung up. The deadline came and went. They didn't leave. I filed for eviction the next day. The court date was set for 2 weeks out. In the meantime, I had to wait. I had to keep living in my small apartment while they lived in my house, using my furniture, sleeping in my bed. Trina brought me coffee at work. How are you holding up? I'm fine. You're not fine. You look exhausted. I just want this over with. It will be soon. But I wasn't sure I believed her anymore, because every step forward seemed to come with 10 steps of resistance. Every victory felt hollow. Every legal document I signed felt like another weight on my chest. The night before the court date, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my sister, about the way she'd looked at the lawyer's office, thin, tired, defeated. About the way her voice had cracked when she'd said she didn't regret choosing him. I thought about us as kids, the way she used to follow me around, wanting to do everything I did, the way she'd cry when I went to sleepovers without her, the way she'd hugged me when I'd left for college, making me promise to call every week. Where had that girl gone? When had she become this stranger who defended a man who was so clearly using her? Or maybe she hadn't changed at all. Maybe I was the one who'd changed. Maybe I'd become exactly what her husband said I was. Cold, calculating, choosing property over people. I got up and poured myself a glass of water, standing at my kitchen window and looking out at the dark street below. Tomorrow I'd go to court. Tomorrow I'd make my case. Tomorrow I'd take one more step toward getting my house back. And tomorrow my sister would hate me a little bit more. I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep. The eviction hearing was at 10. Trina came with me. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected. My sister and her husband arrived 5 minutes before our case was called. She looked at the floor. He looked at me with contempt. The judge reviewed the documents. This seems straightforward. You own the property, you've given proper notice, they haven't vacated. Any dispute about the facts? My sister's husband stood. Your Honor, we'd like to request more time. My wife's sister is doing this out of spite. She has somewhere else to live. We don't. That's not relevant. Do you dispute that you were given 30 days notice? No. But do you dispute that you didn't vacate? We're looking for housing. That's what the 30 days were for. The judge looked at papers. It also says you lived in the property 7 months without paying the mortgage. Correct? My sister's husband hesitated. There were circumstances. Yes or no? Yes. The judge signed something. Eviction granted. 72 hours to vacate. If you're not out, the sheriff will assist with removal. Next case. Just like that. In the hallway, my sister's husband grabbed my arm. Trina moved between us. Don't touch her. He let go but didn't back off. You did this. You're destroying her life. I'm taking back my property. It's more than property. It's her home. Our home. And you're taking it because you're bitter and alone and can't stand seeing her happy. She's not happy, I said quietly. Look at her. Really look at her. My sister was leaning against the wall, crying silently. She looked small, fragile. She's upset because her sister is a monster, he said. Come on. He took my sister's hand. Let's go. She went without looking back. 3 days later, I drove to the house with Trina and a locksmith. My sister's husband answered the door. My sister stood behind him, eyes red. You're really doing this, he said. The court gave you 72 hours. It's been 72 hours. We need another day. Just one more to get our things together. You've had time. 1 day, my sister said, voice small. Please. I looked at her. She'd lost more weight. There was a bruise on her upper arm, partially hidden by her sleeve. When she saw me looking, she pulled the sleeve down. What happened to your arm? Nothing. I'm clumsy. I bumped into something. She fell, her husband said quickly. Yesterday, carrying boxes. I told her to let me do the heavy lifting. Right, I said slowly. So can we have one more day? He pressed. No. You need to leave now. We have nowhere to go, my sister said. We have no money. Nothing. You should have thought of that before you stopped paying the mortgage. Her husband's face went dark. This is your fault, he said to my sister. If you'd convinced her to help us, we wouldn't be here. But you couldn't even do that right. My sister flinched. I tried. You didn't try hard enough. He turned to me. Fine, we'll go. But when she ends up on the street, when she ends up hurt or worse, that's on you. You did this, I said. You orchestrated all of this from the beginning. And now you're trying to make me the villain because I won't let you keep my house. Our house, my sister said weakly. It was never your house. It was mine. I bought it. I saved for it. And they took it and gave it to you because he manipulated them. That's not true, my sister said, unconvincingly. Her husband grabbed a bag. Come on, we're leaving. Wait, where are you going? Why do you care? I don't care about you. I care about her. If you cared about her, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He opened the door. Let's go. My sister followed. At the doorway, she turned back. I'll never forgive you for this. Then they were gone. The locksmith changed the locks. Inside, the house was a mess. Dishes in the sink, trash overflowing. Some of my things were gone. A lamp, books, a picture frame. But it was mine again. I walked through each room. In the bedroom, there was a hole punched in the wall. In the kitchen, a cabinet door hung loose. They'd treated it like it didn't matter. We can fix this, Trina said. All of this can be fixed. Can it? The house? Yes. Your relationship with your sister? She paused. I don't know. I sat down on the floor and cried. Not because I had my house back. Not because they were gone. But because my sister was out there somewhere. With a man who'd just blamed her for his failures. Who'd manipulated her into defending him even as he destroyed her. And there was nothing I could do about it. That evening, as Trina and I started cleaning, I found something wedged between the couch cushions. An envelope. Inside was a note in my sister's handwriting. I'm sorry for everything, but I love him. I have to. I folded it and put it in my pocket, unsure if it made me feel better or worse. The messages started 2 days later, from my sister's phone, but I knew immediately they weren't from her. You stole our home. You'll pay for this. This isn't over. I blocked the number. The messages continued from different numbers. Always at night, always hostile. I saved them all. Then came the phone calls. 3 in the morning, 4, 5. I stopped answering, but they kept coming. A week after they'd moved out, I found all 4 tires slashed. The word thief was keyed into my car door. I called the police. They took a report. No proof, they said. No cameras. I had the tires replaced. started parking in different spots each night. 2 weeks after the eviction, my sister showed up at my office. The receptionist called me, nervous. "There's someone here to see you. She says she's your sister. She seems upset." I went downstairs. My sister was pacing, eyes wild. She looked even thinner. Her clothes were wrinkled, her hair unwashed. "We need to talk," she said. "Not here." "Then where?" "You won't answer my calls." "Because you've been harassing me." "That wasn't me. That was—" He was angry. He didn't mean it. "He keyed my car." "You don't know that." "Who else?" She didn't answer. She started crying. "We're living in his car. Did you know that? Sleeping in his car for 2 weeks because we can't afford a deposit. Because you took everything. I took back what was mine. It was our home." Her voice rose. People turned to look. "We had a life there. And you destroyed it because you're selfish. Stop. Look at yourself. When was the last time you ate? Saw your friends? Made a decision without his permission. He loves me. He's using you. You don't know him. I know enough. I know he orchestrated getting my house. I know he hasn't kept a job. I know he's isolated you. I know about the bruise you tried to hide." She touched her arm instinctively. "That was an accident." "Was it?" "Yes. I'm clumsy." "Where is he now?" "Outside. In the car. He didn't want to come in. Because he knew I'd call the police. Because he knew you'd be horrible to him." She wiped her eyes. "I came to ask for help. We need money. Just enough for a deposit. Once he gets another job, we'll pay you back." "No. Please. I'm begging you. You can come stay with me. Without him. Just you." Her face hardened. "I'm not leaving my husband." "Then I can't help you." "You mean you won't?" "I won't enable him anymore." She stared at me, then laughed bitterly. "He was right about you. He said you'd do this. He said you'd try to turn me against him. He said the only way you'd help is if I left him. Because that's the only way you'll be safe. I'm safe with him. Safer than I'd ever be with you. At least he chose me. He wanted my house. No. He wanted me. He loves me. And you can't stand it." She turned and left. I followed her outside and watched as she got into a beat-up sedan. Her husband was in the driver's seat. Even from that distance, I could see him talking to her, animated. She was shaking her head, crying. He looked up and saw me watching. He smiled, then drove away. That night, another message. "You should have helped her when you had the chance. Whatever happens now is on you." I forwarded it to the police. Not much they could do, they said. Unless he made a direct threat. A week later, my neighbor knocked on my door. "I heard yelling from your house last night around 2 a.m. When I looked out, there was a man throwing rocks at your windows. I called the police, but he was gone." She described my sister's husband perfectly. I filed another report. They said they'd increase patrols. I also called a security company. Had cameras installed. Front door, back door, driveway. I needed proof. 3 days later, the cameras caught him. 2 a.m., walking up to my house, spray paint in hand. He wrote on the garage door, then stood back before leaving. "Home wrecker" in bright red letters. I had the footage. Clear footage of him vandalizing my property. I called the police. This time, they took it seriously. They issued a warrant for his arrest. I also filed for a restraining order against both of them. The hearing was scheduled for the following week. My lawyer advised me to prepare for pushback. "Your sister will likely defend him." "I know," I said. "I've seen it." But knowing didn't make it easier when it happened. The restraining order hearing was in a different courtroom. My parents were there, sitting in the back. They'd called the night before, asking to attend. "We need to see this," my mother had said. My sister and her husband sat on the opposite side. She looked exhausted. He looked confident. The judge reviewed my petition. The messages, the calls, the vandalism. The security footage played on a screen. There he was, spray painting my garage. "Do you dispute this evidence?" the judge asked him. He stood. "Your Honor, I was upset. My wife and I had just been made homeless by her sister. I acted out of emotion, not malice. I apologize, and I'm willing to pay for repairs. That doesn't address the harassment, the messages, the calls. I sent some messages. Yes, but I never slashed any tires. There's no proof. The messages constitute harassment. I was venting frustration. My wife's sister destroyed our lives. She took our home, refused to help when we were desperate. I said things I shouldn't have. But a restraining order? That's excessive." The judge looked at me. "Anything to add?" My lawyer stood. "This is a pattern of escalating behavior. The messages have become increasingly threatening. Our client fears for her safety. Has he threatened physical harm? Not explicitly, but the implication is clear. My sister's husband spoke again. Your Honor, I love my wife. I would never jeopardize our relationship. If I crossed a line, I apologize. But please understand, we've been through hell. We're living in a car. My wife is barely eating. Her family has abandoned her. I'm all she has left. My sister started crying. He put his arm around her. He's manipulating her, I said, standing without thinking. He's been manipulating all of us from the beginning. That's enough, the judge said. Sit down. He orchestrated the theft of my house. He convinced my parents to take it and give it to them. He hasn't kept a job. He's isolated my sister from everyone. And now he's playing the victim. I said sit down. I sat. My hands were shaking. My sister stood. May I speak, Your Honor? Go ahead. My sister is lying. She's always been jealous of me. Since we were kids. She couldn't stand that I found someone who loves me, truly loves me. So she's been trying to destroy my marriage. That's not true, I said. It is. She's the one harassing us. Calling, showing up, trying to get me to leave my husband. When I wouldn't, when I stood by him, she did this. She took our home, and now she wants a restraining order so I can't even talk to her. I've been trying to help you. No, you've been trying to control me. Like you always have. Her husband squeezed her shoulder. A gesture of support that made my skin crawl. The judge looked at the evidence again. The vandalism is clear. That's not in dispute. As for the harassment, the messages are concerning, but there's been no explicit threat of violence. Your Honor, my lawyer started. However, given the escalating contact and the vandalism, I'm granting a temporary restraining order. Both parties stay at least 100 yards from the petitioner and her property. 6 months, then we'll review. My sister's husband's face darkened. This is ridiculous. If you violate this order, you will be arrested. Understand? Yes, Your Honor, he said, jaw clenched. My sister looked at me with pure hatred. Are you happy now? You've taken everything. Our home, our dignity, and now even the right to talk to my own sister. I never wanted this. You always wanted this. You wanted me to fail, and now you've gotten your wish. She left with her husband, his arm tight around her waist. My parents approached me in the hallway. We're sorry, my father said. We didn't see it. How he was controlling her. How he manipulated us all. It's a little late for apologies. We know, my mother said. But we see it now. The way he talks for her. The way she looks at him for approval. We were blinded by wanting her to be happy. She still doesn't see it. No, my father agreed. And I don't know if she ever will. I went home that night and sat in the silence. The restraining order should have made me feel safer. Instead, I just felt hollow. My sister was out there somewhere with a man who blamed her for everything, who had just lost in court because of her. And I knew he would make her pay for it. And she would let him. She would apologize. She would tell herself it was her fault. She would love him even harder. I had won every legal battle. I had my house back. I had a restraining order. I had protected myself. But I had lost my sister. And that victory felt like ash in my mouth. 3 weeks after the restraining order, the police called me at work. We have your brother-in-law in custody. He was caught on your security cameras attempting to break into your property last night. My stomach dropped. Is my sister with him? No, he was alone. We picked him up this morning at a motel. I met with police that afternoon. They showed me the footage. There he was trying to open my back door. When that didn't work, he threw a rock through the window. He violated the restraining order. That's automatic arrest, plus attempted breaking and entering. He's being arraigned tomorrow. What about my sister? We haven't located her. Do you know where she might be? No. They were living in his car. The car was at the motel. She wasn't in it. A cold feeling settled in my chest. Can you find her? We're working on it. I called my parents. They hadn't heard from her in weeks. My mother started crying. What if something happened to her? Don't, my father said. Don't go there. But we were all thinking it. The arraignment was the next morning. I went, sitting in the back. My sister's husband was brought in wearing orange. He looked haggard, angry. The judge read the charges. Violation of restraining order, attempted burglary, criminal trespassing, vandalism. How do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. This is a misunderstanding. I was trying to retrieve my wife's belongings. That doesn't give you the right to break in. Bail is set at $10,000. He didn't have it. He was remanded to custody. As they led him away, he looked at me. This is your fault, he mouthed. I left and found my parents in the hallway. Still no word from your sister, my mother said. Maybe that's good. Maybe she finally left him. Or maybe something happened to her, my father said quietly. That afternoon, my sister showed up at my parents' house. My mother called me immediately. She's here. She's safe. But she's not good. I drove over. My sister was at the kitchen table looking smaller than ever, fresh bruises on her arms, a cut above her eyebrow, bandaged poorly. What happened to you? I asked. She didn't look at me. I fell. That's not from a fall. You don't know anything. My mother sat beside her. Honey, please, tell us what happened. He was arrested. Because of her. She looked at me, something broken in her eyes. He was just trying to get my things, and she had him arrested. He broke the restraining order. He tried to break into my house. Our house, she said automatically, without conviction. No, my house. He's in jail because of you. And it's your fault. It's his fault, my father said firmly. You don't understand. He needs me. He's going through so much. And now I can't even see him. How did you get those bruises? My mother asked gently. I told you. I fell. When? My sister hesitated. A few days ago. We were arguing. About money. About the court case. And I said something stupid. Something that made him angry. And he didn't mean to. He was just frustrated. The room went silent. He hit you, I said. No. He pushed me. That's different. It's not different. You don't understand what he's been through. Because of you. Stop, my mother said, voice breaking. Stop defending him, please. I love him. I know you think I'm crazy. I know you think I should leave him. But I love him. And he loves me. He's under stress. Once things settle down, once he's out, everything will be fine. It won't be fine, I said. It will get worse. You don't know that. I do. And so do you. Deep down, you know it too. She stood. I shouldn't have come here. I thought maybe you'd understand. But you all want me to be alone. We want you to be safe, my father said. I am safe. With him, I'm safe. He hit you, I said again. He pushed me. Once. And he apologized. He cried. He told me he'd never do it again. And you believed him. Yes, she said, voice wavering. Yes, I believed him. She left, got in a car I didn't recognize and drove away. My mother collapsed into a chair. We're losing her. We already lost her, my father said quietly. I went home and sat in my living room thinking about my sister, about the choice she was making every day to stay with a man who hurt her. The police called the next day. My sister had posted bail for her husband. Somehow she'd scraped together $10,000. He's been released, but the restraining order is still in effect. If he comes near you, call us immediately. And my sister? She's an adult. She can make her own choices. Even if those choices were killing her. Even if she was choosing a cage and calling it love. I wanted to save her. But you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. All I could do was protect myself. And hope that someday, somehow, she'd find the strength to save herself. 6 months passed. 6 months of silence from my sister. 6 months of worry and guilt and relief all mixed together. I threw myself into making the house mine again. Trina helped me paint over the damaged walls. We replaced the broken cabinet, patched the hole in the bedroom, refinished the hardwood floors that had been scratched and gouged. It's looking good, Trina said one Saturday as we finished painting the living room a warm cream color. It's starting to feel like yours again. Yeah, I said. It is. I bought new furniture. Nothing expensive, but things I chose myself. A comfortable couch, a coffee table, lamps that actually matched. I hung pictures on the walls, photos of places I'd traveled, art prints I'd picked up over the years. Slowly, the house transformed. It stopped being the place my sister had lived. It stopped being the scene of a betrayal. It became home. My parents visited occasionally. The relationship was strained, but we were working on it. They'd apologized more times than I could count. They'd admitted they were wrong, that they'd been manipulated, that they should have listened to me. It didn't erase what happened, but it was something. Have you heard from her? I'd ask every time. No, my mother would say. We've tried calling. The number's disconnected. We don't know where she is. One afternoon, while I was grocery shopping, I ran into one of my sister's old friends. We'd met a few times at family gatherings. Hey, she said, looking uncomfortable. I heard about what happened with your sister in the house. Yeah, I said. I tried to reach out to her months ago, but he'd already cut her off from everyone. I saw her once, maybe 4 months back, at a gas station. She looked not good. Did you talk to her? I tried. She saw me and practically ran the other way. Got back in the car where he was waiting. He looked angry that she'd even gotten out. My chest tightened. Where was this? Over on the east side, near that old industrial area. Thanks, I said, for telling me. But what could I do with that information? My sister had made her choice. She'd chosen him over everyone, over safety, over herself. Another month passed. I had dinner with Trina and some other friends from work. We laughed. We told stories. I felt almost normal. You seem better, Trina said as we left the restaurant. Lighter. I feel better, I admitted. The house is done. It's mine again. Really mine. And I'm learning to accept that my sister, that she has to make her own mistakes. That's very mature of you. I don't feel mature. I feel guilty. Like I abandoned her. You didn't abandon her. You tried to help. She refused. I know. But it still feels like I should be doing more. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, Trina said gently. I knew she was right. But knowing and feeling were two different things. That week, I got a letter. No return address. My sister's handwriting. I sat at my kitchen table for 10 minutes before opening it. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know you hate me, but I needed you to know something. You were right. About everything. He's not who I thought he was. He's not the man I fell in love with. Or maybe he is. And I just didn't want to see it. He left me 3 weeks ago. Said he needed space. Said I was too much drama. Said I ruined his life. He took what little money we had and left. I don't know where he is. I'm staying at a women's shelter now. They're helping me get on my feet, find a job, figure out what to do next. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry for everything, for not listening, for choosing him over you, over mom and dad, over myself. I hope you're happy in the house. I hope you've made it yours. You deserved it. You always deserved it. I'm sorry I couldn't see that before. Take care of yourself, your sister. I read it 3 times. Then I cried. Not from sadness exactly, from relief, from grief for the time we'd lost, from hope that maybe someday we could rebuild something. I called the shelter the next day, left a message saying I'd gotten the letter, that I was glad she was safe, that when she was ready, if she wanted to talk, I'd be there. I didn't know if she'd call. I didn't know if we'd ever be close again, but at least she was alive. At least she'd gotten out. At least she'd chosen herself. Finally, I walked through my house that evening, looking at everything I'd built, everything I'd reclaimed, the walls I'd painted, the furniture I'd chosen, the life I'd rebuilt from the wreckage of betrayal. It wasn't perfect. I still had moments of anger, of hurt, of wondering what I could have done differently. But it was mine. This house, this life, this peace. And for now, that was enough. A year after I'd signed those papers, I was finally home. It was a Sunday morning. I was in my garden, planting roses along the fence. The house behind me was exactly as I wanted it. Painted, repaired, filled with things that meant something to me. My phone rang. My sister. We'd been talking for 3 months now. Carefully at first, then gradually finding our way back to something that resembled a relationship. She'd gotten a job at a bookstore. She was sharing an apartment with 2 other women from the shelter. She was in therapy, rebuilding her life, piece by piece. Hey, I said. Hey, are you busy? Just gardening. What's up? I was wondering if I could come by sometime. See the house. See what you've done with it. I paused, my hands in the dirt. Yeah, I'd like that. Really? Really. She came by the following weekend. I'd told my parents, and they'd asked if they could come too. We all needed this. My sister stood in the driveway for a moment, looking at the house. She'd lost weight at the shelter, but in a healthy way. She looked stronger. Her eyes were clearer. It looks different, she said. I repainted, fixed some things. It looks good. It looks like you. We went inside. My parents arrived minutes later. My mother hugged my sister for a long time, crying. My father stood with his hand on her shoulder, eyes wet. We had coffee in the living room. My sister looked around at the changes, the new furniture, the photos on the walls. I'm glad you got it back, she said quietly. I'm glad you made it yours. Thank you. I'm also sorry. I know I've said it before, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry for what I did, for what I let him do, for defending him when I should have listened to you. I know, and I forgive you. I don't know if I forgive myself yet, she admitted. Every day I think about the choices I made, the signs I ignored. That's what manipulation does. It makes you doubt your own reality. The therapist says the same thing, but it's still hard. My mother took my sister's hand. We're just glad you're safe. That you got out. Me too. Even though I hate how it happened. I wish I'd been strong enough to leave on my own. You're strong now, I said. That's what matters. We talked for hours. My sister told us about her job, her roommates, her therapy group for abuse survivors. My parents told her about their counseling, learning to recognize manipulation and set boundaries. I told them about Trina, who'd been promoted at work and was dating someone nice, about the garden I was planting, about the life I'd rebuilt. Before they left, my sister hugged me. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. You're my sister. I'll always love you. I love you too. After they left, I stood in my living room and looked around. This house had been so many things. A dream, a loss, a battlefield, a reclamation. Now it was just home. My sister's ex-husband was gone. The restraining order was still in effect. He'd served time for violating it and, according to his parole officer, had moved to another state. My sister had filed for divorce. The papers had been served 3 months ago. The divorce would be final in another 2 months. He hadn't contested it, hadn't tried to contact her. She was free. Finally. Truly free. My parents were different now, too. They'd learned their lesson the hard way. They checked in on both of us regularly, but they respected boundaries. They didn't push. They didn't try to fix everything. They just showed up. And that was enough. Trina and I had dinner every week. She'd become the sister I needed when my real sister couldn't be. Our co-workers had become friends. I'd built a life outside of family drama, outside of betrayal. As for me, I was healing. Some days were harder than others. Some days I still felt angry about the time lost, but more and more I felt at peace. I'd learned that you can't save people who don't want to be saved. You can offer help, support, resources, but everyone has to choose themselves. My sister had to hit bottom before she could climb out, and I'd had to learn to protect myself, even when it meant watching someone I loved make terrible choices. That Sunday evening, I sat on my porch with a glass of wine, watching the sunset. My garden was blooming. The house behind me was solid, secure, mine. I'd survived the worst betrayal of my life. I'd lost my house and fought to get it back. I'd watched my sister fall and had to accept I couldn't save her. But I'd learned I was stronger than I thought, that I could rebuild, that I could forgive, even when it seemed impossible. The house was mine again. My family was fractured but healing. My sister was safe, rebuilding her own life. In 2 months, she'd be divorced. She was talking about going back to school, maybe getting a degree. We had Sunday dinners now, once a month. The 4 of us. Awkward at first, but getting easier. We were learning to be a family again. A different family than before, but a family nonetheless. It wasn't a perfect ending. Real life rarely is. But it was enough. I was enough. And as I locked my front door that night, my door, my lock, my house, I felt something I hadn't felt in over a year. I felt whole.